It was a Tuesday night. Nothing special. I was rinsing a mug at the sink when my phone lit up on the counter. My mother's name. I let it ring once before answering. "We can't afford to do anything big," she said, the way she always did. Calm. Practiced. Then she added, almost gently, "You understand better than your sister." I stood there listening to the water run, watching steam lift off the ceramic. I didn't argue. I never did. I said, "Okay," dried my hands, and put the phone face down. What I didn't tell her was that earlier that day, I'd signed a document at a title office. Thick paper. Blue ink. My name printed cleanly at the top. I hadn't told anyone yet. I wasn't ready. I grew up in a quiet suburb outside St. Paul, the kind with trimmed hedges and wide driveways. From the outside, our family looked even. 2 parents, 2 daughters. Church on Sundays. Photos on mantels. But inside the house, there was an order you learned without it ever being said out loud. My younger sister Lauren had dates circled in bold. Birthdays, recitals, announcements. Mine were penciled in lightly, easy to erase. When Lauren turned 16, a hotel ballroom downtown filled with people I didn't know. There was a DJ booth and tall centerpieces that smelled like roses. I remember standing near the wall, holding my coat, watching my parents move from table to table like hosts at a fundraiser. My 16th birthday came on a school night. My mom brought out a boxed cake after dinner. The frosting was uneven, still cold in spots. My dad checked his phone while we sang. When I blew out the candles, one of them tipped over and wax ran onto the plate. "Money's tight this year," my mom said, like it explained gravity. I nodded. I always nodded. That became the rhythm. Lauren got driving lessons with a private instructor. I took the bus. Lauren toured colleges with hotel stays and campus lunches. I printed scholarship deadlines and taped them above my desk. When I asked about a visit, my dad sighed and said travel was expensive. I said I understood. Understanding became my role. By the time I finished high school, I had learned how to stay quiet in photos. How to fold disappointment small. I graduated near the top of my class. My acceptance letter arrived early, thick and official. I placed it on the kitchen counter and waited for someone to notice. My parents congratulated me that evening. We ordered takeout. No party, no relatives. Lauren had a fitting that weekend for something of hers, so the house stayed calm. A few days later, I overheard my mom on the phone, laughing about a deposit for Lauren's upcoming celebration. She noticed me in the doorway and lowered her voice. When she hung up, she smiled and said, "You're so independent. We're proud of that." I didn't correct her. I took the compliment the way you take a receipt you didn't ask for. College was where I learned how much silence could cost. Tuition statements came like clockwork. Scholarships covered part of it. Loans handled the rest. I worked nights in the library, weekends tutoring, summers wherever someone would pay me. When I called home, the updates were mostly about Lauren. New apartment, new car, engagement rumors. I listened. I took notes. Not about them, about myself. Years later, standing in that title office, pen in my hand, I thought about all of it. The missed dates, the careful excuses, the way tight always stretched in one direction. I slid the document into a folder, thanked the clerk, and walked out into the cold. That night, my phone buzzed again. A message preview from someone I didn't expect. I didn't open it right away. I set the folder on the table, turned off the light, and waited. I opened the message the next morning while the coffee brewed. It was from a woman named Karen, someone I barely knew. She was connected to my sister's fiancé. The text was short. Careful. "I'm not sure if this concerns you, but I thought you should be aware. Please call when you can." I didn't call right away. I stared at the screen, then locked the phone and slid it into my bag. Some instincts don't shout. They wait. Work helped quiet my head. Numbers have a way of doing that. They sit still. They don't reinterpret themselves to feel better. I spent the day reviewing leases and zoning notes, answering emails, moving through tasks that had clear beginnings and ends. Around 5, I packed up, drove home, and finally called Karen from my kitchen table. She spoke slowly, like she didn't want to overstep. "Your family has been talking," she said, "about your place, about visiting, about plans." I asked her to explain. She hesitated, then told me she'd seen a group message by accident, a family chat. My name mentioned more than once, words like weekend, reunion, trust. She stopped herself and said she didn't want to misinterpret anything. I thanked her. I didn't ask for screenshots. Not yet. After we hung up, I sat there listening to the hum of the refrigerator. Outside, the street was quiet. A neighbor dragged their trash bin to the curb. Ordinary sounds, safe sounds. My childhood hadn't been loud either. It was controlled, measured. I learned early that asking for less made things smoother. When Lauren announced her engagement, my parents booked a country club without checking dates. I watched the photos online later. Linen tablecloths, champagne flutes, everyone smiling like the future was a shared project. I wasn't invited. Finals week, my mom said. Travel was expensive. I understood. That understanding followed me everywhere. It followed me into meetings where I listened more than I spoke, into negotiations where patience mattered, into a habit of watching before acting. Real estate wasn't a dream. It was practical. I liked the way buildings told the truth over time. Cracks appeared where stress lived. Value showed up where care stayed consistent. I learned how to read inspection reports the way other people read faces. The property I bought wasn't flashy. A lake north of the city. Pine trees, a long gravel drive, 15 acres that didn't ask me to perform. I didn't tell my parents when I closed. I didn't post photos right away. I let it be quiet. Then, months later, I shared one picture online. Just the water and the deck in the morning light. The caption was simple. Grateful. The response came fast. Likes, comments, messages. My parents called that night, curious in a way they hadn't been before. Asking questions that felt rehearsed. How big is it? Who helped you? Are you there often? I answered politely, briefly. After Karen's call, I opened my laptop and searched my name in my inbox. Old emails surfaced. Loan confirmations, payment histories, deeds. Everything with timestamps. Everything earned slowly. That evening, another message came through. This one from my mother. "We've been talking about doing something together soon." No details, just the word together doing a lot of work. I didn't respond. I opened a drawer, took out the folder from the title office and placed it on the desk. I added a new tab, labeled it neatly. Property. Then I waited. Waiting gave me information. 2 days passed, then 3. Messages arrived in layers. My aunt asking if I'd be around next weekend. A cousin reacting to my photo with a heart and a question mark. My father calling once, not leaving a voicemail. Patterns form when you stop filling in the gaps for people. On Friday afternoon, Karen sent the screenshots. I opened them at my desk, the office quiet except for the low click of keyboards and the air system cycling on and off. The group chat was titled Family Plans. My name sat there in plain text, repeated like a placeholder. If she won't invite us, we'll surprise her. She can't say no in front of everyone. It'll look generous. We should talk about adding the property to the family trust. I didn't scroll fast. I read each line once, then again. No insults, no shouting, just certainty. The kind that comes from people used to deciding outcomes without asking. What surprised me wasn't the entitlement, it was the coordination. Dates discussed, talking points suggested. Someone mentioning how good it would look if sponsors were tagged. My sister typing that the place was basically a family asset already. I saved everything, labeled the files by date, backed them up twice. That night, I didn't sleep much. Not from panic, from clarity. There's a difference. Panic scatters. Clarity arranges. By morning, I had a list. Step 1. Confirm ownership. I pulled the deed from the folder, checked every line. My name alone. No liens, no shared language. Clean. Step 2. Understand access. I reviewed the gate system, the camera logs, the property boundaries, where the county lines sat, where mine did. Step 3. Make it formal. I called an attorney I'd worked with years earlier on a commercial deal, explained the situation without emotion. He listened, asked practical questions, and said what I already knew. If you want this clean, do it before they arrive. We filed a no trespass notice that afternoon. County seal, recorded, active. When my mother called that evening, her tone was light, almost cheerful. "We're thinking of coming up tomorrow," she said. "Just family, nothing big." "I'm not hosting," I replied. My voice sounded steady to my own ears. There was a pause. Then my father took the phone. "Don't make this uncomfortable," he said. "People are excited." "I'm aware," I said. He exhaled sharply. "After everything we've done for you." That sentence had weight once. It didn't anymore. "I'll email you something tonight," I said. "Please read it before you leave." I sent the document an hour later. Short, clear, attached with the notice. No commentary, no accusations. Just facts and dates. The response didn't come. Saturday morning arrived cold and bright. I made coffee, watched steam lift from the mug. Outside, the lake was still. Pine needles dusted with frost. I checked the cameras once, then again. At 10:12 a.m., headlights appeared at the end of the drive. I set the mug down and stood. I didn't move toward the house. I walked down to the gate and stopped there, hands in my coat pockets, boots on the gravel. The cameras hummed softly above me. The system light was green, recording. The first SUV rolled up and slowed, then another behind it. Tires crunched, doors opened. Familiar shapes stepped out into the cold, breath visible, smiles already prepared. My mother waved first, like this was a picnic. "Surprise!" she said, stretching the word. "We thought it would be nice to all be together." I didn't return the wave. I stayed where I was. My father approached the gate, keys in his hand like habit might open it. He tried the latch once. He didn't move. He laughed, light and performative. "Looks like it's stuck." "It's locked," I said. There it was, the smallest shift. My sister stepped closer, eyes moving past me toward the water. "We drove a long way," she said. "You could have told us not to come." "I did," I replied. "Yesterday, in writing." My mother's smile tightened. "You didn't mean it like this." "I did," I said. Silence settled in pieces. Someone behind them cleared their throat. A cooler thumped softly as it was set down. The scene felt staged, waiting for me to play my part and make it flow again. I didn't. My father pulled a folder from under his arm. Thick, organized. He held it up slightly, not opening it yet. "Let's not do this out here," he said. "We can talk inside." "There is no inside for you," I said. Not louder, not softer, just placed. My mother stepped forward. Her voice dropped. "You're being dramatic." I shook my head once. "I'm being procedural." That word stopped her. It always had. I took an envelope from my coat pocket and held it out through the bars of the gate. The county seal caught the light. Blue. Official. My father didn't take it at first. When he did, his eyes moved faster than his face. "This is unnecessary," he said, but his grip tightened. "It's preventative," I said. "Different category." My sister looked between us. "We're family," she said. You don't need paperwork with family. I reached into my bag and pulled out another set of pages, printed screenshots, dates at the top, names intact. I didn't hand them over yet. I just let them be visible. This is planning, I said, without consent, about my property. No one spoke. A car passed slowly on the road behind them. A dog barked somewhere down the hill. Normal life continuing, uninterested in our pause. My aunt avoided my eyes. A cousin checked her phone. My mother pressed her lips together, then tried again. We were just trying to celebrate you. I met her gaze. You didn't celebrate me when it cost you nothing. My father closed the folder. The sound was sharp. You're punishing us. I shook my head. I'm setting terms. I stepped back from the gate and opened it halfway, not as an invitation, as a boundary made visible. You're leaving today, I said. If you want a conversation later, we can schedule one. With notice. With respect. My sister's voice cracked. You've changed. I considered that, then nodded once. I did. The engine stayed off. No one moved. They were waiting for me to soften, to rescue the moment. I didn't. After a long minute, my father turned back toward the cars. One by one, doors closed. Engines started. Gravel shifted under tires, reversing their direction. I stood there until the last set of taillights disappeared beyond the trees. Then I closed the gate, locked it, and walked back toward the house. Inside, the silence felt different. Ordered. Earned. I placed the screenshots back in the folder, aligned the edges, and slid it into the drawer. Then I sat down at the table and waited. The call came that evening, just after sunset. I had changed clothes, reheated soup, and wiped down the counter like it was any other Saturday. My phone buzzed once on the table. My father. I didn't answer immediately. I finished rinsing the bowl, set it in the rack, then sat down and picked up the phone. You embarrassed us, he said. No greeting, no preamble. I set limits, I replied. His breath came through the line, heavy and controlled. In front of people. In front of witnesses, I said. There's a difference. My mother's voice cut in, sharper than I expected. How could you do this to family? After everything? I leaned back in the chair and looked toward the window. The lake had gone dark. The reflection was clean, uninterrupted. We need to be precise, I said. If you're referring to financial support, I can email you a breakdown of what I received after 18. It's short. There was silence. Then my sister. You didn't have to involve lawyers, she said. That was extreme. I involved systems, I said, because conversations weren't working. My father's tone shifted, quieter, more deliberate. We were thinking long-term. Legacy. The Henderson name. The property isn't a symbol, I said. It's an asset, and it's not shared. My mother sighed, the familiar sound of disappointment rearranging itself. You're holding grudges. I shook my head, though she couldn't see it. I'm holding records. That landed. It usually did. I'm not asking for apologies tonight, I continued. I'm not asking for understanding. I'm explaining how things will work. No one interrupted. Visits are by invitation, I said. In writing. No surprises, no assumptions. My finances are private. My property is not a family resource. If those terms aren't acceptable, we don't need to discuss it further. My sister spoke again, softer now. Blake thinks you hate us. I don't, I said. I just won't be managed. My father cleared his throat. And if we don't agree? Then nothing changes, I said. For me. Another pause. Longer this time. I imagined them sitting together, trying to recalibrate a dynamic that had always leaned in their favor. Finally, my mother asked, Is there anything we can do? Yes, I said. Stop rewriting the past to access my present. The line went quiet. No anger, no tears, just the absence of leverage. "We'll talk later," my father said. "That's fine," I replied. I ended the call, placed the phone face down, and stayed seated for a moment. My hands were steady, my breathing slow. Later that night, an email arrived. Short, from my father, acknowledging receipt of the document. No apology, no pushback, just confirmation. I archived it. Before bed, I walked through the house, checking doors, lights, systems. The kind of routine that tells your body it's safe to rest. When I reached the desk, I opened the drawer one last time and added a new tab to the folder. Boundaries. I turned off the light and went to sleep. Winter came in quietly, the kind that doesn't announce itself, just lowers the sound of everything else. Snow covered the drive. The lake froze in layers, clear at first, then opaque. I kept my routines small and exact. Work during the week, maintenance on Fridays, groceries on Sundays. Order has a calming weight. The first follow-up came through email, not a call. My mother wrote carefully, like each sentence had been measured. She acknowledged the terms, said they needed time, said emotions were high. No mention of the past, no apology, just distance wrapped in politeness. I replied with one line, "Understood." A month later, my sister sent a message, longer. She said she hadn't realized how much I'd felt overlooked, that she'd been caught up in her own life, that things had always been done for her and she hadn't questioned it. She asked if we could reset. I read it twice. Then I closed the app. Resetting implies mutual error. This wasn't that. What changed things wasn't another conversation. It was paperwork. My attorney finalized a simple packet. Property boundaries clarified. Access rules documented. A standing instruction with the county sheriff's office. Routine. Boring. Effective. I didn't send it to my family. I didn't need to. Weeks passed without surprise. No cars on the drive. No dropped hints. The silence held. At work, things moved forward. A redevelopment project closed. Then another. I hired an assistant. Then a second. My calendar filled with meetings that started on time and ended cleanly. Results came without commentary. One afternoon, Karen called again. "I just wanted you to know," she said. "They've stopped talking about the place. Completely." I thanked her and meant it. The real confirmation came in spring. My father requested a meeting. Neutral location. Coffee shop halfway between us. Agenda suggested in advance. That alone told me everything I needed to know. We sat at a small table by the window. He looked older, not fragile, just recalibrated. He talked about work, about the weather, about nothing that mattered. When it was my turn, I didn't revisit the past. I outlined the present. I restated the terms. I explained what access would look like, if any, going forward. I spoke like I would to a partner who needed clarity, not comfort. He nodded, took notes, asked one logistical question, then said, "I understand." That word sounded different when it arrived without conditions. There was no reconciliation scene, no emotional release, just alignment. He paid for his coffee. We shook hands. He didn't ask about the house. After that, contact settled into something predictable. A text on holidays, a brief call on birthdays. My sister left messages that stayed surface level. I responded when it made sense. I didn't when it didn't. Nothing dramatic followed. No backlash, no smear, just a quiet acceptance that the rules had changed and weren't changing back. One evening, I stood on the deck and watched the ice pull away from the shoreline. The sound was subtle, like fabric tearing slowly. I thought about how long I'd waited for permission to matter, how unnecessary that wait had been. Inside, on my desk, the folders stayed organized. Property, boundaries, closed deals. The systems held. I poured a glass of water, turned off the lights, and let the house settle around me. Most mornings now start the same way. I rinse a mug, open the blinds, and let the light come in on its own schedule. The house makes small sounds as it warms. Wood settling, heat clicking on. Nothing asking anything from me. I don't think about my family first anymore. That used to be automatic. A scan for messages, a check for tone. Now, if my phone buzzes, I decide when to look. Choice changes the shape of a day. On weekends, I walk the property line once. Not out of fear, out of habit. The markers are clear. The records are current. The systems work the way they're supposed to. When something needs attention, I handle it. When it doesn't, I let it be. My parents send a card on holidays now, signed neatly. Short notes, no suggestions, no plans hidden between lines. My sister leaves the occasional voicemail, upbeat at first, then trailing off. I return them when I have something real to say. Silence isn't punishment, it's accuracy. What surprised me most wasn't how much quieter life became. It was how much lighter it felt. Success used to feel like something I had to justify. Now it feels like something I maintain. Like clean water, like air. The people around my table have changed. Colleagues who show up prepared, friends who listen without fixing. A few younger women I mentor who ask careful questions and take notes the way I once did. When they win, we pause. We mark it. We don't rush past. Last month, one of them told me a story about her own family. Different details, same pattern. She asked how I knew when to stop explaining myself. I told her the truth. When the paperwork says enough. She smiled. I could see the relief land. Some evenings, I sit on the deck as the lake goes still. I don't replay conversations anymore. I don't draft responses in my head. I just watch the light change and let the day close properly. Boundaries didn't take anything from me. They gave things back. Time, focus, breath. If you've been listening and recognizing pieces of your own life in this, you're not imagining it. Patterns repeat until someone names them. Sometimes quietly, sometimes with a document and a locked gate. Before you go, thank you for being here with me. If this story helped you feel a little steadier, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps this space reach people who might need it. I'd also love to know where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. Leave that in the comments. 2 popular stories will be queued up next, and I think you might recognize parts of those too. Take care of yourself. I'll see you soon.